Everyone. Welcome to the Business Development and Marketing webinar series. Today, we're going to be talking about general marketing. So my name is Lindsay Pageau. I work for Cornell Cooperative Extension's Harvest New York team. I'm an agricultural business development and marketing specialist. I cover a variety of different areas from business development marketing, agritourism, cut flowers. I've worked in hemp. I work in a lot of different project areas. So, what is marketing? Marketing can be looked at many different ways, and I'm going to cover like the general different aspects of marketing during this presentation. But overall, it's the process of promoting and selling products or services. It's about identifying your customer needs and then also developing products and services based on what those customers' needs are. You would never want to develop a product if you didn't have any consumers to purchase that product. So it's really about doing a bit of that research ahead of time, but answering a couple different questions along the way. So I always like to start out with general marketing, the 4 Ps. When I went to university for my degree was in marketing. This was the big thing that we first started with was price, product, promotion, in place. And the next couple of slides, I'm going to get in a little bit more detail about price, product, promotion, in place. But these are definitely the key 4 Ps of marketing. Some people also like to add a fifth. So people, their target audience, and I will be covering that one after we talk about the 4 Ps. So when we talk about price is you have to look at how much you're planning to charge for that product that you're going to be selling. So it's important I'm going to jump to the last question is how do you determine price? So it's important to determine how much that price of that product actually cost you to develop. So all of the agricultural production part to the value added aspect, if you're going to be selling like a value added product, all of your marketing expenses, there's some of the travel behind it if you're bringing it to a farmer's market. So there's a lot of things to consider when it comes down to determining what that actual costs of that product is, and how much you should be selling it. So you have to make sure it covers the cost plus pays yourself. Include your time, because if you get sick tomorrow, you might be the person that is raising all those tomatoes or making all of those value-added products. But if you get sick, you're going to have to hire somebody. So it's important to make sure that you're paying yourself because you should be getting a living wage off of this, but also being able to pay somebody if they have to take over or if you have to add additional staff down the road because your operation gets so big. And the other thing is to do the research, is this price reasonable for the market? So if you're growing tomatoes, you might have like amazing, beautiful heirloom tomatoes that maybe you can get a higher price point than your neighbor that's growing tomatoes, because you might have something that's very unique. So you need to just find out where that little niche is when it comes down to determining how much you should be charging. Asking customers how much they're willing to pay for a product is always a great way to find out too how much people are willing to pay. I have my own agricultural business, and that's what I did at one point in time for like lavender wreath making workshops. And I will say sometimes our customers say a lot lower than what you think, but that's not the price that you should be going by. I had one customer that said they'd be willing to pay like $15 for a wreath making workshop, but I'm selling the wreaths in the shop for $25. So it just did not make sense. So just making sure you also use your own determination of what that price should really be to make sure you're covering your cost. So product, what are you selling? Are you selling tomatoes? Are you selling milk? Are you selling goat milk? Soap, like think about what type of product that you're developing. The other thing when you're thinking about what you're going to be selling is what is the quality of the product? It's always important to have a really good quality product, making sure that maybe it's surpassed maybe your neighbors or the other products that might be similar on the market. And then also thinking about how much product do you have available to sell. That's really important to know kind of what you can be producing. It's sometimes very difficult, like your first year of production on a farm, to be able to know like how much you're going to get per square footage of a certain crop, how much you're getting like in your high tunnel. So the first year might be difficult to determine that, but keeping really good records to know how much you're producing, plus how much that's costing you to produce that product is important. Promotion. So we're going to get into promotion a couple times during this presentation, but how are you two planning to advertise your product? Is it going to be a website, social media, newspaper, word of mouth? This is the part of marketing that I actually consider like one of the most difficult parts now because not everybody is watching the nightly news. Not everybody. So if you had an advertisement between on the news, it's not for the local news. It might not ever get seen by your audience that you're thinking about. Not everybody is on social media. There's not as many newspapers that are being printed across the country. So thinking about how you're going to advertise is really important, and kind of covering a couple different ways. You're not going to be able to cover every single way out there unless you have a really big marketing budget, but figuring out a couple key places where you promote your product. For my farm, what I actually do is like I do social media, I have the website, and I do a lot of word of mouth or even advertising in like the local calendar events that might be through the tourism promotion agency, but also through like different just community involvement newsletters that get sent out. So thinking about different ways that you can cover kind of like your audience when it comes down to it. So place, where are you planning to sell your product? So this is important to know kind of who your customer is and where they go to purchase purchase the product that you're going to be selling. It might be a farmer's market, it might be a farm stand, it might be one of the New York State produce auctions across the state, it might be a food hub, it might be through like a wholesaler distributor. So there's a lot of different places, but knowing exactly where you want to be selling to, and what you're kind of willing to commit to. Because, if you go to a farmer's market, you're committing to a number of hours being at the market and to bringing products there, and not sure like if your audience is going to show up, your farm stand, like are you located in an area where you get enough traffic when it comes down to so just thinking about where that product that you're going to be having is going to be the best place to sell it. And you don't have to always commit to any of this, like for the long run. When it comes down to, you can change things up over time, your place, the different products your farm's producing, how you're promoting things. So we do have, I believe, a webinar that's going to be kind of more focused in on that consumer demand aspect coming up in the next couple months, but just overall thinking about like people, the target market. So who is your target market that you're going to be selling to? Is it a single person? Is it a family? What type of income kind of range is the products that you are producing more like a luxury item, like such as like a body butter lotion? Or is it something that consumers, are going to need regularly, such as milk or tomatoes or lettuce? So think about what that target audience is actually going to want. And then moving on, we're going to talk about marketing communication tools. So thinking about over the next couple slides, I'm going to kind of hit upon branding, label certifications, affiliations, because label certification affiliations have different regulatory requirements, but they do add a lot of value when it comes down to consumer interests. Thinking about too, if it's paid media, free media, or social media. So developing your product. So this slide, I'm going to have a little question for you guys. So when you're developing your brand, so I'll get into a little bit more brand information on the next slide, but it's important that your brand conveys conveys unique qualities and values. It also communicates at a gut level to your consumer, inspires confidence that it's a quality product, and also saves time. These are all things that kind of help consumers kind of grab that product off the shelf and take it. So, in the chat, if you guys can think, I'll give you just a couple seconds to think about this and put down, can you name some milk brands that are out there on the market? Uh, I spent a lot of time buying milk over the last couple of years having young children. So anybody can name some different milk brands that are out there on the market? So we have a lot that are coming in. We have Stewart's, Bowl and Breakfast, Fairlife, Hood, Hudson Valley Fresh, Side Hill, Organic Valley. So this is great. Exactly what I was hoping you guys would do is so different ones that people know of, convey a message. And I think this is the reason why I'm hitting the topic of milk, because I think milk has done a really great job of branding their product, because we've all had milk since the time we were born and continue on drinking milk over the years. And so we think about what we're consuming. So I was going to give example of Stewart's as a brand of milk. Most people, I think, probably are on the webinar know that Stewart's is located in Saratoga, New York. They've actually the reason why I think this product is like very unique too, and there's a lot of across New York State we have a wonderful dairy industry and a lot of milk being produced, but just picking Stewart's because it conveys the unique qualities and values is like they only buy milk from dairy farms that are within 30 minutes of their production plant. So it conveys unique quality and value. It communicates on a gut level for consumers that know about this. It's it gets at the New York State Fair over the years. It gets known as New York State's best milk. So it identifies confidence. And then it is a product that is sold at a Stewart store. So like you know exactly where you're going to. If you're going to Stewart's to get gas, you'd probably go get a half gallon or a gallon of milk. Also, like when you're just in the grocery store, I think about milk and the fact that if you're looking for a certain one, you're looking for a certain color, you're looking for a certain like lettering, labeling that it's basically grabbing the audience, right? When they're going to do shopping quickly in a grocery store. So more into branding. So we think about like branding as I mentioned before with milk is a lot of them have very unique logos or imaging. So that grabs the audience attention. They're usually with branding, you have a certain color theme, a font, and picking that color font can always be a process, especially for a farm. I have a lavender farm, so my color is purple. So all of my stuff has the color purple behind it. Maybe if you have a sunflower farm, maybe all your stuff is yellow. So thinking about what's going to grab the audience attention. Thinking about when you're developing that brand logo, the font, the colors, what type of packaging and labeling you're going to be using to make sure that it sticks out to the consumers. But also think about too with branding is what type of swag can consumers, maybe you're giving it as a freebie at a trade show, or maybe it's something that they're buying in the store. So like if you go to Stewart's, or even Stewart's online, you can get like stickers and hats and shirts and mugs. So consumers are like willing to wear that swag, and I think it's really important to have really good branding. A lot of breweries and wineries do this. Consumers then buy that that shirt, that hat, and then they're wearing it around, and it's free advertising for your business. It's also great for employees to have for shirts and hats. I worked for a landscaping company, and the owner is amazing at doing all of the marketing, branding for the business. And she'd have all her employees in the same shirt, and we were only supposed to really wear those during work days. But like you'd go into Stewart's, you go into Maple Fields, and people would see that and then come up and ask like, "Where can I get landscaping? What's the contact information?" So, free advertising. And then also thinking about branding too is how is this going to fit and look on a website within social media and advertising? A lot of like newspapers when they they'll set up an ad for you. They'll just want like send us your like your image, your logo. So having that all keyed in with all your branding and colors is really key. And then, so how do certifications help market your products? So these are all different certifications in this that I could think of. There's a lot more out there. So we have near state grown certified. We think about organic, natural, um, GAPS, grass fed, free range, and certified naturally grown. So these all can, depending on the consumer audience and their knowledge base, convey a message to the audience about purchasing something. So a lot of people, a lot of people might just be influenced or just know about organic and maybe not know about natural. So it's important to like figure out for your business and the product if you want to have any certifications. They also, a lot of these, so like New York State Grown Certified, GAPS, um, those require like our food safety. So like if I know that if they have food safety standards behind them, so I know as a consumer, if I go in and grab that, they had to go through this like this additional extra inspection when it comes down to it, in order to have that label on their product. So just knowing what the consumer, but not all consumers understands like kind of the ins and outs of these. But figuring out what your audience is interested is important. So how are you going to market your product? So I mentioned before we were going to kind of talk about this. So thinking about different ways. So website, social media, word of mouth, um, a newspaper, magazines, free listings, and local promotion. So I always think it's really important to have a website. It doesn't have to be something that you're paying like $20,000 to produce. You can set up a website anywhere from just about probably about $100 to probably less than 1,000 just completely on your own. There's a lot of different platforms that are out there to develop with the templates, and they can walk you through how to set up a website. Um, Social media, so using like Facebook or Instagram, is a great way to do like free advertising. There is ways to like bump up your post and do an extra charge to like increase your audience, and to kind of push it more towards the consumers. Um, Word of mouth is really great. Newspapers. So with newspapers, there's you can think of it different ways as paid and free advertising. So you can like have paid advertising in a newspaper, or you can ask the newspaper to come out and do an article on the farm, and it's free advertising. For my farm, I was able to get two articles done by the different local newspapers, and it really helped the first year that we were open, for UPIC, that it was out there to the public. Because then people also shared the article through social media. So it also like from the newspaper, it hit back to social media, which was great. Magazines. So there's different magazines options that are out there. There's a lot of local magazines that do articles. on operations. So that might just be like a local free one that people pick up in the grocery store, or it might be one that people pay when it comes down to it. So you can get an article done in there, but also there's always the option, usually in magazines, to do some type of paid advertising. So I kind of mentioned before free listings. So through like maybe your local tourism promotion office, there might be a way to do listings. Your Chamber of Commerce, and if there's like a local community calendar of events or newsletters that comes around. So up here, I live in the Adirondacks, as we have the J Community newsletter that comes out, I believe it's once a week. And they have wonderful like stipulations and opportunities to put pictures along with it. And they communicate um, with anybody who sends information back that they are listing it, or if they need any additional information. So free listings are always great. And then local promotions. So maybe through, if your Cornell Cooperative Extension Office has some type of program, or different agricultural promotion agencies that might be doing promotion of different agricultural products or farms in the area. So these are some other resources through USDA, New York State Department of Ag and Markets. So like to talk about New York State Grown Certified. Um, Also the Guide to Marketing Channels selections, how to sell through wholesale and direct marketing channels. So these are some additional resources, and I'm going to kind of open this up for questions. Stop recording.